So, a very good morning, students. Welcome you all for the online lecture series on the remote sensing and GIS. So, this will be your lecture one, and this is the continuation part of the part one and part two. What I have done is I have divided this overview and introduction part in three parts, such as to avoid the length of the video, right? So, each and every video will be approximately about 40 to 45 minutes so that you can easily grab the thing from there, right? So till now we have covered. Let's have a recap. So what we have covered till now, we have covered these parts, and in the last lectures we were talking about the types of resolution actually. So in this lecture also we will continue with that types of resolution part only. So let's move towards the different types of resolution, and we were talking about with you all the spectral resolution. Okay, so we have talked about temporal resolution. We have seen how the temporal resolution depends on the return time of the satellite. Then we have seen the different examples of vegetation on the day basis, on the time basis, as well as on the year basis, annual basis, right? So this was your spectral resolution, in which it is stated that the it refers to the number and dimension of the specific wavelength intervals in the electromagnetic spectrum to which a sensor is sensitive. Right. Now, after the spectral resolution, the next resolution is about panchromatic and multispectral and hyperspectral, which we have to talk about in this video. So what I'm going to do is, to avoid the bandwidth problem, I will be just switch off my camera mode, and then we'll deliver the lecture. Now what you have to do is, you have to take a pen and a copy and just note down the bullet points about these, because today we'll wrap this overview and introduction part, and from tomorrow we'll be talking about more in depth about the remote sensing and GIS. Okay, so this was all about the introduction part, and today we'll wrap that introduction part. Now we'll talk about the panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral resolution. So in panchromatic, you have only one band image, and here the band width, just remember from the starting and end wavelength of your detector. So the starting and end wavelength is very far from each other. Here you can see the starting wavelength and the end wavelength is very far from each other. So they will have the enough energy to be resolved. So that is called panchromatic. Why it is called panchromatic? Because you have one band image, and here the bandwidth starting and the end wavelength of your detector. So the starting and the end wavelength is very far from each other. So they will have the enough energy to be resolved. So that is called panchromatic. So this is one band image like our normal camera. Here, here we have one band image, right? And but in case of multispectral, you have 4, 5, or 10 different 4, 5, 10 and different bands. What I was talking about the panchromatic. Now just see in the image. Here it is your panchromatic. What happens with the panchromatic is that you have one band image, and when you talk about multispectral, you have 4, 5, or 10 different bands. So here you remember, whenever we say panchromatic, so it may be 0.4 to 0.7, and this must be the range occupied to generate your panchromatic. But in case of multispectral data, which is this one here, to generate this is your multispectral data. So this one was your panchromatic, and this is your multispectral data. In order to generate the multispectral, this particular wavelength has been divided into different images. So you may have 1, 2, 3, and 4 bands, and that is captured between 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer. And likewise, you have generated first, second, third, fourth, and fifth image. So once you have this 5 images, you can take this first pixel of this, and then you can generate 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here spectra will be like this. This is your example here for the spectra. Okay. Now, but here you remember in the multispectral, we never bother about the in between the gaps. So we have some gaps. So so that it is basically not resolved here. In the next one, this is the hyperspectral remote sensing data where you have 100-second or 1000-second. Wait a second. I guess the image is not clear to you all. Hyperspectral remote sensing data where you have 100-second or 1000 seconds of bands which are continuous in nature. So what do you mean by continuous? So here from 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer, let us take this example. So this is first band, second band, and then is your third band. Here you will have more. So like that, you will have more number of bands. So here, and these are uniform, the bandwidth will be uniform. So here the definition of hyperspectral includes continuous nature in measurement. So continuous means there will be no gap between first image and second image. So this is very important. So when you have such data set measured from satellite or maybe through this airborne survey or from the lab-based instrument, they are called hyperspectral. So this was all about panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral. So this was basically about the different resolution, starting from the temporal resolution, spectral resolution, and then was your panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral. Now, the very important question is why spectral resolution is important. And why this spectral resolution is important? Because when you have more number of values for a given area in or across the wavelength, then you will have this kind of information you can see from here. Okay, you can see it from here. You can have this kind of information, right? So for different material, you can see these features are changing. So why these are changing? Because of the material characteristics. So you can easily find out what is the chemical composition of that material based on these spectra. Okay, so why spectral resolution is very important? Because when you have more number of values for a given area in and across the wavelength, then you will have this kind of information. You can see from here to here, right? You can see from here to here, right? No, so we can see for the different material, you can see these features are changing. Okay, you can see these features are changing. It is having trough. Okay, so why these are changing? Because of the material characteristics. So you can easily find out what is the chemical composition of that material based on these spectra, right? Now, after this spectral resolution, we will move towards the next resolution, and that one is your spatial resolution. Okay, so the next one is your spatial resolution, and what it is a measure of the smallest angular or linear separation between two objects that can be resolved by this sensor, right? So what it is a measure of the smallest angular, or linear separation between two objects that can be resolved by this sensor. So here let me show you the figure. This is your figure. Here you can see the, I will once again I will show you the figure. Here is your figure, right? So basically, I hope you all remember the dictators in your sensor, and it is looking to a particular area, and this is basically generating your pixel. So this is the next resolution, that is spatial resolution. Here we need to measure the smallest angular or linear separation between two objects through our sensor. So it depends what is the capability of your sensor, how much a small area it can resolve in terms of values that will be recorded in terms of digital numbers, and we will always call them pixel in the images. In previous lecture, I have told you about this digital number and this pixel. So if you see this image, if you look into this image, if you see in this image, which has been generated through a sensor, a space-borne sensor, and a resolution of this 23 meter by 23 meters. So here it is the resolution, that is 23 meter by 23 meters. What this means? This means that one pixel of this particular image represents 23 by 23 meter area. One pixel represents 23 by 23 meter area on the ground. So this is how the spatial resolution is important. So if this area, this pixel represents only 1 meter by 1 meter, then what will happen? This will be much clearer than this, that you can understand here. Okay, and the next one is 2.5 meters to 2.5 meters. We have the next image also. See. Okay, so this is your 2.5 meter to 2.5 meters. And also we have the next one. The next one is your 0.5 meter to 0.5 meters. Okay, so what I have told you that if in any of the figure I am representing that figure 23 by 23 meters, it simply means that one pixel of this particular image represents 23 by 23 meter area on the ground. So this is how we represent the spatial resolution. Okay, now this is all about the spatial resolution, that it is a measure of the smallest angular or linear separation between two objects that can be resolved by the sensor. So first one is about 23 meter into 23 meters. The next one is your 2.5 meter to 2.5 meters, and another one is 0.5 meter into 0.5 meter. Now moving towards this next slide. Now here we can see the spatial resolution is actually the projection of dictator element on the ground through optics. This already I have explained to you, but this will be now clear. We will clear it more. Okay, now there are two terms, IFOV and FOV. So what does this IFOV and FOV mean? Here IFOV is basically the angle of your dictator, but field of view is complete angle of your sensor. So here one pixel is generated using this IFOV. So here one pixel is generated using this IFOV, right? One pixel is generated using this IFOV. So if you know the altitude of this light, what is the altitude and what is the angle of your dictator? So if you know the height and IFOV, that you can always find how much area this dictator will cover on the ground. So that is the significance of this IFOV and FOV is basically, okay. So IFOV instantaneous field of view and FOV means field of view. Okay, so this is in connection to this spatial resolution. See, spatial resolution is the projection of your dictator element on the ground through the optics, which I have already explained to you. But in order to clear it, we have two terms, that is IFOV, instantaneous field of view, and FOV, that is field of view. So IFOV is basically the angle of your dictator. Okay, IFOV, here you can see it is your angle of your dictator. Wait, IFOV is your here angle of the dictator. But what field of view is? Field of view is the complete angle of your sensor. Field of view is the complete angle of your sensor. Here you can see one sensor, it is there, and I of V is basically the angle of your dictator, and when we measure the complete angle, it is your FOV, that is field of view. One pixel is generated using this I of OV. So if you know the altitude of this flight, अगर इसका altitude हमको पता है, what is the altitude, what is the angle of your dictator, you can easily find how much area this dictator will cover on the ground. So in this way, this spatial resolution is important, and how this I of V and FOV terms are associated with this spatial resolution, right? Because the spatial resolution is actually the projection of the dictator element onto the ground through optics, right? The other one is your radiometric resolution, right? So what is radiometric resolution? This one is next one. It defines the sensitivity of a dictator to differentiate the incoming radiation into different levels. Okay, so that means, suppose if you have a torch, and you are illuminating a target, and that reflected values or reflected energy is coming to our sensor, and that sensor is capable of differentiating only two values, two ranges of the values, then what will happen? There will be 0 or 1, either there will be some value or there will be no value. See what I'm saying? I'm just saying you, it defines the sensitivity of a dictator to differentiate the incoming radiation into different levels. Just suppose you have a torch. आपके पास एक torch है. You have a torch and you are illuminating a target, and that reflected values are reflected energy, and that is coming to our sensor. So क्या होगा? The sensor is capable of differentiating only two values, two ranges of the value. Then what will happen? There will be 0 or 1, either there will be some value or there will be no value. So this radiometric resolution is very important in terms of the level of information which has been captured by the sensor. So here you can see this is 1-bit data, right? Here you can see there is 1-bit data. Okay, this is your 2-bit data, and this is your 3-bit data, and this is your 4-bit data. So the incoming radiation was differentiated into two different levels. But here in the case of 2-bit data, you have 2 to the power 2 range. Okay, in case of 3-bit, you have 2 to the power 3 range, and in case of 4-bit, you have 2 to the power 4 range. So here you can understand, when you have 1-bit data, 2-bit data, 3-bit data, 4-bit data, definitely your 4-bit data will give you more information, because you have 2 to the power 4 range, because that can depict the smaller change in the contrast or the value. Okay, so in this way, it defines the sensitivity of a dictator to difference in the signal strength as it records the radiant flux reflected or emitted from the object, right? Just I will give you one more example. See, here you can see 8 gray levels, right? Here you can see 8 gray levels, 8 gray levels. So when you are having 0 to 7, or maybe starting from 1 to 8, so 8 kinds of set can depict here, depicted here. But in case of 256, you have 0 to 255 range. ठीक है, 256 में 0 से 255 रेंज होगा, और 1 to 256 range, and this is why you are having more information in this particular. More the area, the more the information. 8 gray level, it means you can divide it from 0 to this 7 or 1 to 8. In case of 256 gray level, you can divide it from 0 to 255 or 1 to 256. तो 256 ग्रे लेवल में हमारे पास ज्यादा एरिया है, तो हमारे पास ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन होगा. सो दिस इज योर रेडियोमेट्रिक रेजोल्यूशन, राइट? अब रेडियोमेट्रिक रेजोल्यूशन के बाद we'll move toward the next slide. So now अब हमने जो है कवर कर लिया है स्पेशियल रेजोल्यूशन, स्पेक्ट्रल रेजोल्यूशन, रेडियोमेट्रिक रेजोल्यूशन एंड टेम्पोरल रेजोल्यूशन. Now how they are important, and in the next one this we have also covered the panchromatic, multispectral and hyperspectral data and how they are different from each other. So now this is the next one is your sensor technology and how these images have been generated. Now I will talk about the sensor technology, right? So I have already told you that this is your platform, right? Just see the platform. Here it is your platform, where you have your sensor. In that sensor you have dictator. Platform पे sensors होते हैं, sensors पे dictators होते हैं. So for time being, let us take only 4 dictators. ठीक है, हम क्या करते हैं कि हमारे पास 4 dictators हैं. ठीक है, we have 4 dictators. So how they are imaging this particular area? How they are imaging this particular area? If we have 4, wait a second. How these are imaging this particular area? So how they are imaging this particular area? So how this area have been captured in this particular image? So how they are moving? So they might have started. They might have started from here to here, right? They might have started from, I guess this is more clear to you now. They started from here to here, okay? But is it so, or is there any other mode of acquisition? So how do you image this particular area? So that will be, see here, okay? So there is a whisk broom imaging sensor or whisk broom imaging technology, where you have this, you can see how this image a particular area. So it is something like sweeping your floor with a broom, okay? Sweeping a floor with a broom, right? So it is something like sweeping your floor with a broom. I hope this is clear. So scanning is performed by an oscillating mirror deflecting upwelling radiation from the earth to onto wavelength sensitive photo detector. So I have told you about whisk broom imaging sensor or whisk broom imaging technology, where you have this, how this image is imaging a particular area. So what we do is we do something like this, sweeping your floor with a broom. So scanning is performed by an oscillating mirror deflecting upwelling radiation from the earth to onto the wavelength sensitive photo detector, right? Now one more sensor technology we have, and in this next one you have push broom. When you are pushing your sensor, right? Here you are pushing your sensor. अब क्या कर रहे हैं, हम सेंसर को पुश कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? So this will be like this. So this is the push broom imaging technology. Sensor consists of a linear array of detectors equal in number to the number of pixels in a row of the image, more stable compared to the whisk broom. Now in push broom, there is one more push broom. So in push broom, you have also this frame acquisition, and these are actually very good. So this is all about your sensor technology. Sensor technology is actually how we started. See, there is a platform. I have told you about the platform, where you have sensors, and in that sensor you have dictators. So for time, let us take only 4 dictators, and if they are imaging the particular area, so how this area been captured in this particular image? If you are moving it, right? So in this particular area, what we doing is sweeping your floor with a broom, right? Now I guess it is more clear to you. So and after that, scanning is performed by an oscillating mirror deflecting upwelling radiation from the earth to onto wavelength sensitive photo detectors. And in the next one we have push broom, when you are pushing your sensor, right? And what happened in push broom, you have also the frame acquisition, and these are very good looks actually. So this was all about your this lecture one, and this lecture one was all about your overview and introduction part. So in this way, we complete the introduction and overview part of remote sensing and GIS. I hope this you all have enjoyed these lectures. So this was the divided into three parts. We have covered almost every introduction part, right? So we started from a basic question that what is an image, right? Then we defined that image, that is pictorial representation of an object or a scene. Then we have seen what is a digital image, which is produced by the electro-optical sensor, which is composed of teeny equal areas. Then we have seen that what is the remote sensing and what is the significance of digital number. So remote sensing, we have learned that it is the art or science of making the measurements about an object or the environment without being in physical contact with it. Then we have seen about the electromagnetic wavelength range, that is starting from radio waves, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Then this was your this slide was about what happens when light hits an object. It means if incident light hits an object, it is actually reflected, scattered, absorbed, transmitted, and then we have divided the stages in remote sensing from the space. Okay, so what we first need is, first stages, we need electromagnetic energy, which is reflected or emitted by the object. Then energy received by the remote sensor, energy converted to electrical sensors. So in this way, we have also covered the stages in remote sensing from space. Then we have talked about active versus passive remote sensing. In passive, we need sun energy as a source of radiation, and in active, we need the sensors which use its own source of radiation. Then we talked about orbits, polar orbiting satellites, then low inclination orbit. Then we talked about the platforms, and then we talked about the application of remotely sensed images, that is site selection studies, helpful in polio channels identification, environmental studies, natural hazard monitoring, monitoring the national security in agriculture, flood hazard map monitoring, river morphology, planetary exploration. Okay, then we have seen what are the strengths of satellite remote sensing images, that is large coverage, aerial coverage, temporal images, sensor sensitive to wavelength region, access to inaccessible areas, earth and planetary exploration. Then different types of resolution, which we talked about, spatial, spectral, radiometric, and temporal. In temporal, it was basically depending on the return time of the satellite, and this return time is a function of the altitude at which the satellite is launched. And higher the altitude, more circumference of orbit, longer to the orbit the Earth. Then we have seen the temporal resolution with different examples, okay, about the vegetation, how the morphology changing takes place in a long term. Actually, this was the temporal resolution about the river. Then about the weather forecasting. Then we have seen the spectral resolution, which says that it refers to the number and dimension of the specific wavelength intervals in the electromagnetic spectrum to which a sensor is sensitive. Then we talked about the how this actually vary, and how there is a graphical representation of the spectral resolution is done. Then we talked about panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral. Then we have seen why spectral resolution is very important. Then we talked about the spatial resolution, which says that it is a measure of the smallest angular or linear separation between two objects that can be resolved by the sensor, which have also given birth to two terms, that is IOV, that is instantaneous field of view, and FOV, that is field of view. And spatial resolution is the projection of the detector element onto the ground through optics. Then we talked about radiometric resolution, and it defines the sensitivity of a detector to difference in the signal strength as it records the radiant flux reflected or emitted from the object. Then we have seen the significance of resolution, spatial, spectral, radiometric, temporal, panchromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral. Then we talked about the sensor technology that is Whisk Broom imaging sensor. Okay, scanning is performed by an oscillating mirror deflecting a Willing radiation from the Earth onto the wavelength sensitive photodetectors. Then was Push Broom imaging sensors. Sensors consist of a linear array of detectors equal in number to the number of pixels in a row of image. So it is more stable to compare to Whisk Broom, and also it is good for the framing purpose, the scanning and framing purpose. So this was all about the your lecture number 1, which was divided into part 1, part 2, part 3. This was basically the part 3, and this was entire overview and introduction. I have covered the entire part of the introduction part in this remote sensing and GIS, which will be helpful to every student and research scholar who are willing to understand about the what is remote sensing and what is GIS. So I will be covering more part in the other lectures also. We'll talk about in depth, in detail. So you no need to worry about other parts. Okay. First, you just go through these 3 parts, and if you have any doubt, you can write directly me to at ankur495@bit.ac.in, or you can have also comment in this chat box. I will comment to each and every queries there. So I hope everybody is safe in this pandemic. So keep watching the videos. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.